We all know that this is a premeditated attack on Texas. This is an invasion. I've been to the border 3 times since May, and I was on the committee in Austin and the Senate on border security. I've been in the helicopters, and I've been up and down the river in the gunship. We're going to close all 25 bridges over the river for inbound commercial traffic from Mexico. This is strategic. This isn't where the illegals are coming across. This is where all the commerce is coming across. We're doing $250 billion worth of trade with Mexico annually, Texas is.
But we are going to do something in Texas as I am governor that even President Trump didn't do. No other person has done. We're going to declare the cartels as a terrorist organization. And once we declare them as a terrorist organization, we're going to freeze their assets. And speaking of the cartels, we're not fighting against cartels. We're fighting against a transnational narco-criminal terrorist organization. This is an insurgency. They are non-state, non-uniform belligerent. I've already sat down with some old retired Army guys, and we've done some mission analysis. It will take 5,000 to 7,000 of our 26,000 members of the Texas Military Department to put down there on the major infiltration routes to interdict people from being able to come across that border.
I feel like you're saying ditto when y'all talk. I feel like you're saying ditto when y'all talk.
They wanted to be in the cool club. They wanted to make sure they made the Democrats happy and bought into all the green energy. All this angst about all this legislation we can't get done. It's all for show. You're being hustled. It's got Abbott's fingerprints all over it.
When you start making ideologies into policies, you have a problem. And that's what this green agenda is.
We could produce electricity cheaper than anyone else. And Greg Abbott and the rhinos down there in Austin let it all go to pot.
These 3 men walk the walk. They do what they say they're going to do, and they're not afraid. You cannot say that about our current governor. He is weak.
Public education system in Texas needs to be burned to the ground. It's a faulty system built on humanism and socialism. It's the Dewey Man system of education to brainwash your children.
When Greg Abbott listened to that lying piece of crap Fauci.
Just use this just in case.
Whose is it? Well, there you go. Imagine if I'm an employer and I come up to one of you ladies and I said, hey, you got to do something to stay employed. People who feign shock and horror when we mention the word Texas, but let me ask you a question. Do you feel united with California, Oregon, Washington State? Do you feel united with Illinois, New York, or even Washington, D.C.? You don't, because the globalists have already seceded the federal government away from us.
I'm setting up a new court system. You're never going to convict a Democrat for cheating a Republican in Dallas County. The judges are Democrats, the juries are Democrats, the DA's a Democrat. I'm setting up a whole new court system, a 3-judge panel be appointed by the governor. We're going to finish Trump's wall. We're going to call it a Texas wall. I'm going to build it for 400 or 500 miles along the 1,230 miles on our border. It's going to cost us about $4 billion.
And you believe that you describe your success and your mission with the vocabulary of the divine. That's when you go against the will of God, and he's placed it on your heart. You can't quit. Folks, to violate that and to violate your word and to violate your convictions in that regard is dishonorable.
Colonel West, do you need me to repeat the question?
No. Let's go back and look at what happened on that Sunday, Valentine's Day, the 14th of November. Is that there was an energy company here in the state of Texas that made $2.3 billion while you were freezing, while an 11-year-old died in his bed in Conroe, Texas. And that exact same energy company wrote Greg Abbott a $1 million campaign contribution check.
It's the rhinos that are killing it. My battle was always with the rhinos. They lie so much they don't even remember what they're lying about. Have you ever met a Republican that didn't say he was conservative? They all say that, and 90% of them are liars. They're liars.
And I'm unemployed, but I'm popular.
Republicans cheat.
Was that mean?
1 minute.
I didn't mean to be mean, but
That's all right.
thank you.
Well,
Mr. Don Huff.
I'm the one that went out there and helped lead some of the Open Texas rallies. You think you can call the Attorney General's office? I mean, dream on. 4,000 people work there, 750 attorneys. I've done it. I thought I was getting ripped off in 18 when I lost my election. Nobody cares in Austin, Texas. The governor gets to appoint the board of regents of every university. Imagine if our universities are run by patriots, God-fearing patriots.
you can get rid of CRT. It's just going to come back branded as another form of Marxism because that's what that institution is always going to produce.
This is all Marxism. Marxists have taken over our schools. They've been working on it for decades. They've taken over our seminaries, our media, everywhere else.
You really study and understand, if you read the Communist Manifesto, it's Marxist. Two things about the Communist Manifesto and Karl Marx planks. Number one, a progressive tax system.
Republicans cheat.
Public education system in Texas needs to be burned to the ground. It's a faulty system built on humanism and socialism. It's the Dewey Man system of education to brainwash your children.
How do you stop cultural Marxism? You don't fund it. On 7 February 1961, you're looking at someone that was born in Atlanta, Georgia, in a blacks-only hospital.
It was never easy for me. I was born a poor black child.
We ought to take those windmills and plant them down there on the southern border just above the wall and let that be the last obstacle that people have to get past in order to come into our great state.
Imagine when we get 500,000 illegals out of our government school system. Imagine the money you're going to save as Texas taxpayers.
Week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I got hit with Mr. Wuhan.
I was for vaccine choice many years ago, way before we had the Wuhan.
America is not a racist country.
We had the trifecta in Washington, the House, the Senate, and the courageous president. It was still porous. They were still pouring over.
You're looking at a person that is chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, joined a lawsuit against the governor of the state of Texas when he unilaterally, unconstitutionally, not going through the state legislature, but changed Texas election law and extended the early voting period from 2 weeks to 3 weeks. Guess who was happy about that? People like Chris Hollins, people like the folks in Dallas County, every single blue county.
And we don't trust a machine. I don't want to live in the land of the Terminator here.
If we are continuing to chemically and physically castrate our children,
We've lost more liberty in the last 18 months than I thought was ever conceivable. And it was done to us by a Republican governor.